All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order, July 2nd, 2025, Dune City Council regular meeting. Roll call wise, we're missing Duke Wells and Rich Olson. Chris, we know, is off this evening. The rest of the council are accounted for, and we have a quorum. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 4 is consideration of the agenda. Any proposed revisions or deletions? Anyone have any concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
I believe that was unanimous. Let's go on to item 5, announcements and correspondence. Item A is the status of our annual audit.
Yes, so the audit has been reported to the Secretary of State. So we are almost around the final stretches.
All right. Next step, they have an acceptance. It'll be presented to council for acceptance, correct? And then that will be complete for the year.
Yes,
Correct.
for 2024, and then
Right.
we have to start,
For
we already just ended.
23, yeah, 24. Okay. All right.
24, 25, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Item B is a permit amendment for water rights. I understand you have some happy news.
Yes, so on the dais, I did a little piece of paper there that says that the state has basically acknowledged receipt of our permit amendment application. And we did that on Friday, and that saved us $918 because as of yesterday, they increased their fees by 30%.
Yeah. So Lila drove to Salem on Friday to get this submitted. And the water rights, the state staff were pretty helpful too, because they flagged this fee increase and said, if you can get it here, we're getting, if we can get close, it's going to be accepted for processing. And then Lila's already noted a couple of minor revisions, but this covers the 208, right? 208 homes that have a city water right, and there's some perspective on that list. I think there's 240 point of uses identified, with some of them not actually identified. They're part of the Oregon water system, right, for some expansion. So anyway, quite a project. And then item C, right-of-way maintenance.
Yes, the trash service has asked for us to do some limbing of some trees that are into the roadways, and so I did get a hold of Trident, and they've already taken care of some of that for us.
Okay,
So I just wanted you to know, if in case you saw that happening, that was why.
okay,
Oh,
all right, very good. Next item is item 6, new business. So we have a resolution tonight to review, Resolution Series 2025 number 7. This is for potentially amending the city charter to allow alternative to signature requirement for elections. I'll give you a little background. The last election, currently our city charter requires, is it 20? 20 signatures of registered voters that live within the Dune city limits. So all of us on the ballot went through that, and that ended up we had 2 empty spaces. One of those was rejected because the people that signed either lived on the wrong side of the street and they were in the county and they didn't realize it, or they weren't registered to vote. Depending on when they last voted, they may have been purged or something. So anyway, state law says it's signatures or a fee. And it describes, it starts, the most expensive is running for governor, and it goes down to local judges, and then it says local municipalities can do as they see fit. So it's a potential barrier to getting people on the ballot. So the resolution would authorize Lila to pursue this with Lane County elections Currently, there is not anything on the ballot for fall of 2025. So if we want it on the ballot, fall of 2025, we would pay for that little booklet that gets mailed out in the ballot. So my suggestion is, if you guys are amenable to this idea, and this is just the idea to get it in front of the Board of Elections for a ballot question, is to authorize Lila for the next available. So right now, it says it's November 2025. If there is no ballot, because we need to have our ducks in a row ahead of time, because they'll say, okay, here's the publishing deadline, and it's like 90 days from, when there's a ballot. So sometimes we kind of find out last minute. And so anyway, if it's available, this would authorize Lila to submit it. And if it's not, it will go to next spring. And I believe there is something on the spring of 26. And then we have 3 council positions, and the mayor will be on the November of 26. So it would make a difference to those of you that need to run, if you want to choose to run next year. So, and it agrees with state law and the county. This practice is in most locations, so it becomes a choice. You can either pay the fee and drop off your forms and be done with it, or you can seek the signatures if you choose to for free. So, with that said, I will read the script. We have a specific script because it's a resolution, proposed revision, or proposed resolution, and we can discuss for a second. So, Dune City Council, July 2nd, 2025, introducing Resolution Series 2025, number 7. I will read the resolution title into the record. A resolution of the City Council of Dune City, Lane County, amending the charter allowing alternative to signature requirements for electors. Do any of the council have any questions or comments?
I have a question, Mayor.
Okay.
So just as a clarification, this is not going, if a person was to walk in and just pay the $20, that's just getting their name on the ballot?
Correct.
Okay.
And they would we would verify ID or, location. They would show that they live here. We verify they are a resident. Lane County verifies they're a registered voter. But by doing it that way, they have sufficient time to get their voter registration fixed if they're not, things like that. When we did the signatures, we were literally last minute driving. Lila had to drive Eugene twice because they need ink signatures in person, so we can't fax them or scan them. Yeah, so we verify that, and then yes, that would secure you a spot on the ballot.
Thank you.
Did you have a
I
question?
think Lane County has a similar process.
They do.
Yeah, so most special districts, you pay $10. So
Yep. And the state, all the state offices,
Yeah.
saying you have an option for a fee, because the petition requirement for a state office is much larger. You have to go, at the last general election and look at how many people cast a vote, and so it ends up like 1,500 signatures, and it can be problematic. So yeah, every other, basically state and counties all allow the pay the fee to register.
So would this apply to any measure put on the ballot besides candidates? So,
Ballot initiatives have a completely different requirement by state law already.
okay.
So those have to meet that test no matter what. So this would strictly be for mayor and council.
Okay.
Nothing else would be affected.
Okay.
Susan, any question or comment? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve City of Dune City, Lane County, Oregon Resolution Series 2025, number 7 as written.
Thank you. Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Actually, Mayor,
Yes?
no, but can we
Oh.
change that, amend that to first available?
Yeah, this
Yes.
is just to put it on the ballot, not to approve it.
Well,
First available,
Yeah,
first
so-
available election, you mean?
so this is drafted for Lane County's requirements, right? So it has all the dates and it has the publication stuff, presuming. So yeah, put in your motion that it's the next available.
Okay.
Right now, it's the next general election, but we may not be on that one if there's a large cost.
Okay,
So,
so
does that make sense?
I'll amend my resolution. I'll make a motion to approve the City of Dune City, Lane County, Oregon Resolution Series 2025, number 7, for the first election available with Lane County pursuant to their dates and deadlines.
Okay, thank you. Your second
My second's still good.
for that, okay, thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. The ayes have it. Let me make a note here. Okay, so we had no changes to the wording of the resolution, just a note in the motion that if you need to change the date. Okay, then Resolution Series 2025, number 7 passes and is hereby adopted and will be effective on today's date. But the action will depend on,
Ballot measure.
yes, the Board of Elections. All right, thank you very much. Okay, next item is our work session. So we have the ordinance 238, which is chapter 36, or pieces of chapter 36, and potential fees and violations to discuss tonight. We've received one email with comments from Geneva Jackson. I appreciate that.
Yes.
And it will not be approved tonight. I appreciate your comment that it's the standard lingo's discussion or action. This will be discussion. We won't get through all
Okay.
the fine print tonight. So, are you here tonight to speak to the work session? Okay.
Well, I would be willing to read my letter so that it goes into the record.
It's in the record, and we'll discuss your comments, but we also have some in the audience.
Okay,
So,
fine, thank you.
Susan, correct?
Yes.
Would you like to speak now, or, I mean, we're taking comments, so.
Now, well, now would be good.
Okay.
But do you need me? I don't want to.
Give, full name for the record, and then, yeah, just tell us what you want to say.
I'm Susan Johnson. First of all, I really appreciate this opportunity. I live up on Maple Street, 82720 Maple. And I'm here because I'm concerned about the developing that is going on next door to me. They have done a ton of excavation, and I know that they have a permit to move dirt, but I'm concerned, they came right up to my fence line, and when I say right up, I mean, it's not, you can't take a step, and it's a 20-foot drop.
Okay.
That's a little, my park right there, like, I'm literally afraid my truck could just fall into their canyon. And then on the other side of them, I live on the uphill side, but on the other side, Jameson Kopelek lives there, and they've moved a ton of dirt and made this mountain. She's literally, I just want to make sure that somebody's paying attention. It just doesn't seem safe or right or anything.
Okay.
And I know that they, like I said, I know they have a permit for moving dirt, but I don't know if they have a permit to do the kind of excavate. They're not just moving a little dirt.
Sure. Understood.
So I'm just, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
And there's not posted.
All right.
Oh yeah, and there's also no posted permit. There's a card up there, I mean, but it's blank.
Oh,
There's no posted permit on the property.
okay. And you've already told staff, correct?
Yes, I've talked to Pam, she's
Okay.
been up there
Okay.
and looked. I just wanted to make sure that the city was paying attention.
Sure.
Yes,
Sure.
it's unnerving, they've just come so close.
All right.
So,
All right. Thank you. And
thank you.
We're at a slight disadvantage because city staff relies on Northwest Code compliance for the inspections as well, but we'll, I heard a little piece of this the other day when I was in the office, so we'll follow up and make
Okay.
sure.
I
Yes, ma'am.
did not sign up to talk.
No, that's okay.
My name is Juliana Johnson. I'm not related to Susan, but I'm a neighbor. All of us here in the front seat, or front row here, have taken the time to come down here because we are concerned about Susan's situation.
Okay.
And her neighbor on the other side of this excavation is Jameson Kopelix, which is her family. neither side of this have had anything to do with moving the dirt.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the one lot that's in between.
Understood.
And this has kind of been a little bit of an ongoing thing because the lot had all this beautiful, big timber on it to start with. They've stripped all that out. They've pulled all the stumps out. They have moved this dirt all over the place. They've cut big holes, then they filled them back in, built this big mound up in the hole that they started, and then they've cut away from her property. So all this dirt, which is little more than sand, is really dangerous because it hasn't been compacted sufficiently. It has been moved all over the whole lot, and nobody seems to be paying attention to whether this is safe or not. And this is the second owner on this property during this. It's the third time heavy equipment has come in and worked on it. There's no continuity of who's responsible. And when you look at the posted permit, it's just a form. There's nothing filled in on what you can see. So that's why all of us as neighbors have come and supported Susan and Jameson, who is not here, to make sure that the city council knows that there's something going on that they really ought to be looking at.
Okay.
Thank you.
If I can just add one more thing.
Sure.
I've lost a lot of trees on my property in this process. Some of them have fallen down, some of them I had to have removed for safety. The few that I have left on the back of my property, they have come right up to and pulled the stumps, so that is really unstable. I'd also like to know who's responsible, and I'll say when those fall down, because they're going to. So that's a concern. And I wanted to reiterate what she said, that Jameson has moved in no dirt. All the moving is in the middle lot.
All right. And what was the number of your address again?
82720 Maple Street. And our road up there, Maple, is already in really bad shape, but all this equipment coming and going, it's brutal.
So you access your property from Maple Street?
Yes, I do. As does the property next door, as does Jameson Coppola,
As do we.
as do they.
So your house, you kind of sit above Summit Avenue? is that-
Yes. Mhm.
And you guys want to speak? Do you have the same concerns? Oh.
Yes,
Good.
yeah, we are Brad and Tracy Miller. We're 4836 Laguna Avenue. What they've done to this property is not only a shame, it has changed the flavor of the neighborhood. Susan is not kidding you when they have cut right to her fence, and it's literally a 20-foot drop. If she has grandchildren, or a dog, or anything, it is very dangerous. And they've cut right to the base of the trees along the back. The roots are actually sticking out. They're having to cut those in order to accommodate for this 20-foot drop. And then they've raised up the house level, which is what's the word I want? Influencing? Attacking Jameson's property? It's limiting her view so they can get a view. It does not blend in the neighborhood, it's not correct. Would you like to add anything?
So is the house at 82720, is that above or below this cleared property? By elevation? Are you?
Above.
You're above?
She's the higher, yeah.
So
I'm-
your property, then there's a cut that drops 20 feet down.
Yes.
And then what's the elevation change between the property that's been cleared and your home?
It's my daughter's home.
Right.
The elevation change, well, it depends. They've added dirt. So on the very back of the property, which is the west side, it is probably piled 20, 12 to 15?
Well,
I'm thinking
probably
it's
closer
higher
to
than
20.
20 feet high pile of dirt and roots. And then the elevation of the house, which would have probably been almost level to my daughter's house, is now probably 8 feet
say
higher.
6 or 8.
It'll sit up closer to her roof line.
Well, we appreciate your helping us understand
Yeah.
your concerns.
Any other comments on that?
Well, I just have one comment. I'm
Sure.
Brad Miller. The angle that they have cut is not sustainable. It's actually just, if there's any rain or whatever erosion that's going to occur, it's really going to change Susan's property line. It's going to undercut it.
It's gonna take out her
We don't really know what the actual plan is for that property.
Okay.
So I've never seen if they're planning on putting a retaining
Right,
wall,
that would be
or if
my
they're doing
question.
all those other
If there's a
things.
retaining wall that goes in.
Yeah, but I
Some
don't
sorts
really
of-
know what the mechanism is for gaining approval to make such a radical change in the property. And the original owner that was previous to the current owner basically clear cut the entire lot. And so that was a shock to begin with.
And then sold it?
Then sold it because she found something else she liked more.
Okay.
And then she, half the timber that she cut down was not marketable. It was,
It was old growth.
well, there was, what was this?
Hemlock.
Hemlock. Yeah, hemlock is not even commercial. So, but she just destroyed this lawn and walked. And then now we have the second situation where it's being, terraformed in a way that is just kind of, it doesn't make rhyme or reason to us, but we haven't seen the plan. So that's kind of where we're at. We're just really concerned that what's going on is a bit extreme for that, for that small of a neighborhood.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
I think it's only one more. I do know that they are planning on putting a retaining wall in,
Okay.
but I lost the one thing. I do know that's in the plan. Oh, I know what it was. When I asked Pam, there's no engineering report. Like, all of this is happening, that was my
That was
concern.
gonna be my question too for Pam.
There's no engineering
Okay.
report on file.
Okay.
And I don't understand how that's possible. How can they do that without somebody looking at an engineering report?
Good question.
Can you tell me?
No, off the top of my head.
No, we can do it,
Okay,
try and understand it today.
okay.
All right. Thank you. We'll follow up with staff.
Thank you.
See what we can find out. Okay, back to our work session on short-term rental. Has everyone had a chance to look at that existing language? Did everyone get Geneva's comments or just me? Okay, okay.
Thank you for listening to us.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We don't mean to abandon you.
No, it's okay.
We just like sit here by ourselves.
Thank you so much.
can work it out, those are really legitimate.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
All right. How would you like to go through this? Sure. Does everybody have some comments? Yeah, I'm fine with that.
My first thing is going through definitions, code enforcement officer,
Yeah.
is that really still the definition you want?
No, that was one of my comments, because we're inconsistent in this. And if it's like most of our ordinances, this replaced two previous, and some words I think changed and some words didn't, and probably was a good example from another community that may or may not fit, it may not make sense anymore. So anyway, yeah, that was one of my first. And I asked Lila, we have code enforcement technician, for lack of a better term, right? So we have a permit technician and code enforcement technician, so we should be consistent.
So it should say code enforcement technician,
I think so.
Did we hire a code enforcement officer or a
No,
technician?
technician,
We
technician.
hired a technician?
yes,
Did we advertise it that way?
yes. It also refers to the city recorder everywhere, which is but one of the hats. This is not a recorder duty, this is a city administrator duty. So we should be, consistent in it's city administrator or their designee. Or generically, it's Dune City staff. We don't, if any of the staff call and say, I don't think you can do that per ordinance, it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as it's one of our staff that's carrying out their duties. So because we have such a small staff, quite often our permit technician and our code enforcement person are used interchangeably depending on what the code issue is. So, you know, we're basically all residential zoning and we have one building permit technician, so she's familiar with the building side of things, which generates, you know, half of the complaints and, you know, so anyway.
So wherever it says code enforcement officer, you're suggesting a change to code enforcement.
I think it should be,
Technician, or you wanna say, are you suggesting where it says city recorder, we say city staff, or what are you suggesting? Is it different based on the context?
well, we've gone through this with a couple of ordinances where make it less personal, right? It's not the recorder or a certain person, it's city staff or city administrator or designee. So that, because that's our top position, at top of the org chart, city administrator or whoever they designate.
Okay, I like that.
Because we don't want to be in a position where you don't have a code enforcement technician, either due to retirement, vacation, whatever, illness, and you say, well, we can't do anything because only the code enforcement person is called out, and, you know, it's one of those Matlock moments, right, like technicality. So it's a designee, right, it's a city staff.
Right.
Um,
So to make it simple, could it be code enforcement technician, the city administrator, or their staff designee?
Yeah, I think so. And then if we agree on that, then it makes sense on the next couple of pages, because we're all over the place, and then
Right, and
it'll be less of an issue, right?
So we're removing including the code of violation investigator, correct?
Well, we're
Are you
still on
done?
page one, the definition of
That's what I
code
meant.
enforcement
that's on,
officer. Oh, yes, I am,
we
yeah.
don't have one.
We reference
Because-
two different positions we don't
Yeah.
have on the first
Oh,
page.
back up a
Yeah,
second.
Yeah, no, I follow.
We have like too many little people in the pile here.
I even underlined it in red, yes.
Gotcha.
So,
And I also wanted to say that I think we did advertise it as a code enforcement officer.
did we?
I think so, yes.
Well, it's neither here nor there now,
Right.
because that's an administrative duty, right?
Exactly.
We got what we got.
Right, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
maybe
so-
consider.
The bold part can be code enforcement personnel,
Right,
persons, yeah.
Pick a word,
Could be
Just be
more than one
consistent.
someday, right?
just be consistent.
Yes, exactly. So,
And my only thought in that regard is that officer carries more weight than technician.
but it implies more formality, and
Yeah.
we're not there, right? And this came from a bigger city where they had a police department and they had probably a department of 5 people, and there was somebody in charge of code enforcement, and they had a bunch of technicians.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm familiar with such an org chart, we don't have that.
Well, could we leave off that word altogether and just say code enforcement, city administrator, or their staff designee? Or do we have to
I'm
have?
fine with that if you're,
I like it.
I like it, right? Simplify it. Sure.
Leave off the technician part.
Yeah, right, it could be whatever it is over time. So just code enforcement,
Code
city
enforcement,
administrator or
code enforcement,
administrator's designee.
code enforcement indicates a team.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to put a colon and then it could be city administrator or staff designee.
Well, all the rest of these, it's a period, the title, then a period, and then, yeah, then what the definition is. So yeah, let's do that, just so code enforcement period. And it will be the city admin, administrator. Or
Their staff designee,
designee, period.
period.
Okay,
Let's
perfect.
make this simple.
Simple, yes. Well, we learned that in the last one, like there's, it's like too many words to, we start tripping over our own phrases.
And before we go on to page 2,
Okay.
over there, Beth,
Go ahead.
on the third whereas,
Yep.
I feel it is too vague in regards to when it says enable the city code, you know, blah, 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 we're
Oh,
gonna change
you're
it,
right.
to do certain duties without having. What are those certain duties? To me, that needs further clarification,
Let's see.
because that just puts stuff in
Well, I think,
whatever they choose to do. I don't think it's clearly defined.
okay,
I didn't see anywhere where it said, you know, really, those are violations, what they can, but
Well, I
Well,
think if you change that paragraph to say, will enable city code enforcement, leave officer off of it,
right.
to perform, you know, what would be the verb or the adjective? It'd be- You're really enforcing code, basically.
Then we need to put to enforce code.
Right, and certain duties,
Right,
it is a little blah.
it's-
Okay,
But I think you
I don't
could
want to
say,
A, I want
just
to be,
enable,
but not be
yeah, just enable code enforcement to
perform
perform the codes or.
duties.
We have a
perform duties.
okay. One second. Yeah, and it's those ordinances of Dune City and state law that are applicable, because to some extent it is a little bit fuzzy. There's things the state says you can do this, and there's other things that you have to be authorized by your own ordinance. And we have a comment from an expert in the back row.
Well, no, I'm not an expert, but the whereases that you're discussing right now are the whereases that adopted or went with ordinance 238.
The old version, so we would rewrite that for
So
the
if
new
you're
version.
going to create a new ordinance,
Good point.
your whereases would pertain to the new ordinance.
We would write it different, right, good
Yeah.
point.
So these whereases
Or what we're amending.
they're already adopted. in
Right,
code.
it's ordinance 238 says that, and when we get to the new version, we'll replace that language, if that makes sense. So it'll look substantially the same, but yeah, good point. We're not amending that part. It exists in the ordinance. We will rewrite those in the new version if we get to
I
that.
think she just want to give some terminology to put in for the new version.
But no, that makes sense. So say certain duties related to Dune City ordinances and applicable.
How about it says certain applicable duties?
Thought we just couldn't change that right now, are we talking?
Well, I mean, but
This is for the.
for our language,
Oh.
for the future, to help clarify, to your point, we want to clarify in the future.
I would say applicable land use duties,
Applicable in what?
land use.
Yeah, because they're restricted as to what they can go over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just land use though, I mean,
State and city plan regulations.
Yeah, because it's beyond land use, we have the, like, business licensing requirements, when we have contractor, short-term rentals are not in the land use, that's a separate chapter, so things like that. So, yeah, it'd have to be broad, but we could say Dune City ordinances, because,
You could say Dune City and state ordinances,
applicable state, yeah, because,
state law.
because there are some that require police
Right.
or similar, and some that don't, and we don't have a police department, they're not described.
So
in
why
ours,
don't we just say Dune City ordinances?
And applicable state.
Because they are,
Because like the water rights and the wastewater, that's all state law that trickles down to us.
Do we have any county that we should add county in there too? Since we have state and city.
Septic permits issued by the county, so yeah, I probably need to say that too. Because we're the first line for them, they'll say, well, that's a Dune City thing, and then.
So
we send it to
applicable
the-
county and state.
Yeah,
city, county, and state, right?
I think so. All right, somebody write all that down?
Something like that.
Okay,
Molly's got
that'll be
it.
our first
I know
draft.
she does.
All right,
It's being recorded, aren't we?
yes. That
Twice.
doesn't help. Yes. Okay, yeah, that's a good point, right? Because that gets to the guts of this, like, what's the point of this? What are we trying to get to? The last phrase on there is the person. We had this discussion recently about the person in charge, and the person responsible. When we were talking about nuisances, it's similar.
We only need one person. Don't we, what did we do the last one?
Yeah, we
Just
simplified,
the
right?
person- We combined
It was
those
person
three.
responsible.
Person responsible. Instead of having them.
Instead of person in charge and person responsible, right, you don't have to distinguish between the two. If you say I'm the owner, or I'm the agent, I'm the renter, that's my thing, or whatever, then, yeah. So person responsible, just strike the first two,
I would.
simplify, okay.
I think that's what we did the last
I
one.
think we did.
And
And
I would like it double checked,
Yes.
just so we're consistent
I was
on
gonna
all
say,
of
let's
them.
make a note to compare to the nuisance that we just adopted because we simplified and we want to be consistent. Okay, good comment. Any comment on the authority part? I have one. The abatement. We're not gonna abate,
I was gonna say,
right?
I read this, and there's someplace else that it says abate too, and I
Yes.
thought we decided no abatement.
Our attorney said, don't go there, you'll regret it.
So can we just strike 0.020?
Well, it says, it also goes on to responsible for such enforcement activities. So we want to get out of the abatement activity and only be responsible for enforcement activities. So do we shorten it? Because we still have authority for enforcement of Dune City ordinances.
Well, how do you get to,
It doesn't say enforcement anywhere in that.
Yeah,
It
keep
does.
going.
Oh, it's
Last
over
sentence.
at the end.
Activity.
how do you get from provisions of this code, okay, if you strike may be abated by the city pursuant to the procedures set forth herein, except those where, you need to get to the point where you're addressing enforcement. We got a lot of language there to
It's
strike.
a lot of it.
It's a lot of
that-
word salad in this one. There's a lot of,
Can we do a rewrite on that whole
oh,
paragraph?
yeah, please.
I would say just rewrite it so that you don't have anything about it.
There you go.
We want code enforcement.
It's Dune City has the authority, whatever, and responsibility for enforcement. Applicable state, county, and city code.
That's better than this. So
Yeah.
That's a place to start.
I mean, I thought you were ready.
No, it wasn't.
No. Okay, we can get there. I mean, this will be our first draft, right? Everybody will have notes, and then Lila will try to make sense of it all, and then we'll have this discussion again. So I'll make a note, we agree, right? Okay. Then the next one is where you get into the authority and what it is. And so the first part is code enforcement officer.
Strike officer.
To simplify, right, it would be city administrator or designee. You could substitute that everywhere.
Mhm.
How about if you just said code enforcement has the authority to make the determination?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay,
That would be
that works
good.
too. I'm fine with that, and just strike
The and officer.
officer, right?
Too.
Yep. Then on B, it starts with city recorder, change to city administrator. May hire individuals with skills for code violation investigation, and part of that's capitalized, but it's not a title, I don't know
It's
why.
not.
But then it turns into the code violation investigator.
Which, yeah, I don't.
And then it has officer again, so
Exactly.
it keeps going back and forth.
Right, so we'll be consistent, it's just
Code
code enforcement.
enforcement.
Code
Okay.
enforcement, period. Or not period, just code enforcement.
Right. Code enforcement, code enforcement.
You could probably strike the part that says code enforcement on any investigations or inspections conducted pursuant to this chapter, and then drop, and will have the same power as the code enforcement officer to inspect public and private property. You just said that twice.
Right. You're right. You strike out the and, right? The same power.
Yes.
It's just blah, blah, blah. And then does C, is C even needed?
No.
It's like redundant language. The Dune City Code Enforcement Officer is responsible for enforcement, except it's the city administrator or their designee is responsible. So strike all of C, everybody
Yeah.
okay with that? Okay. Okay, A, and we had very similar language in the nuisance, with permission, code enforcement can enter. Say again?
Person
What person,
responsible,
person
not person in charge. We're
responsible.
changing the language
Gotcha.
to person responsible.
Person responsible. So I think that one is okay, because they have permission, they can enter, they can take pictures, they can talk to them.
Can we strike, after code enforcement officer and/or a code violation investigator, just code enforcement is authorized to enter?
I think that
Yes.
was universal across the whole document,
Yes,
was it?
code enforcement.
Yeah, we want to
yes.
cross the whole
Yeah.
document, okay. I just want to make sure you're seeing it's got to be struck in several
Yes.
places.
Yeah, because then when you get to the next page.
This
it-
document will be about a third size, and we're gonna.
Yeah, and nuisance was too, we have better terms with less words.
Yeah.
Again, abate the code. Sorry, page 3.
You're at the top three?
Did I go too fast there?
No. You're still in A, right?
Still in A, it's
Okay.
the second to the last line, or the
Yeah.
last line, we have to abate a code violation.
Correct, we'll strike that because the attorney said, don't abate, just document.
So striking that last sentence.
Yeah, so that whole last sentence, with permission or without, we're not gonna do the abatement. And I haven't been here that long. Does anyone recall a time when city staff abated? Like, would we send the landscape crew and clear something and then send them a bill, or?
We've never done that since I've been on the
Okay. Do you guys remember anything as
Never,
an
I
audience?
don't.
Some of our audience have been here longer than some of us. And it's a very unusual step. It's usually, go ahead, Rapunzel.
I think quite a while ago, the city stepped in on a septic issue
Okay.
and took care of it for the person who was in violation because they couldn't afford to make corrections at the time. So I think the city stepped in and helped out with that.
And do you know if they paid to have it done and then sent, billed them or liened them or?
So this, I believe the city paid for it, but I don't know
Okay.
how it was compensated, if it was or not.
Okay. The only, and it's not in Dune City, I'm
It
familiar
was
with,
a hardship case, so the
Yes.
city stepped in.
I'm familiar with abandoned buildings where they start looking like they're gonna fall down and the city sends notice, the building official says that's unstable. And I've been involved in a couple we tore down, but they were commercial properties that were quite valuable. So we made them safe and then liened property and knew we would get paid back because they were, you
But
know.
maybe we can address that in 36.090.
Yeah, I
Rapunzel was
think we
saying.
get to some of that later, yes. Okay, entrance without, I think it's correct. This is what our attorney said, you need to get legal means, you go to court, they issue you a right to enter. And you basically gotta tell them, you know, we think this is something we have to get in and see this, or, we're not gonna abate, but we're gonna take pictures and, or whatever we have to do. And it would typically revolve around something like, septic that's potentially failing, you know, someone's reported a smell or, you know, running water that doesn't look potable or something like that. So I think we need the chapter or the section just in case, but it's one of those special cases because you need a judge's action. In our case, we have to go to Wayne County to do such a thing, so it is a very big step. And then emergencies, same, if it's police, fire, you know, sheriff's office or fire department agree, they can go on site. If you think there's a fire, there's an electrical, you know, wires are down, you know, possible human harm, whatever, those are still allowed.
Well, the last sentence, we need to take off the abate the violation, or we would.
Well, it depends on, now the emergency crews, if it be fire department stuff, they can go in, but
Yeah.
code enforcement can't go in and abate it.
Exactly.
So what would we put there? I mean, it's not, yeah, code enforcement.
Well, I guess
Appropriate,
it's probably one of those, just delete it because the code enforcement person's not gonna abate it, right? If police or fire said, yeah, this is within our jurisdiction, we'll take it from here, then our job is done, right? Ours was to
so
notify.
striking
I would
C
just-
altogether?
No, I
No.
think we leave it until, it says after
having
notify
oversight.
notify a county, state, or federal office having oversight and jurisdiction
Yes.
over the subject matter of the violation period, take
Yes,
this off.
there you go.
Okay, I agree.
There you go. So if it's a fire code, because a lot of that's covered in the building code, you know, the electrical, the fire alarm. We make note, but we can't rush on site, but the fire department can if you think you're gonna have electrical fire or something like that. So I think that would be appropriate. Recovery of administrative costs. So that's one of the goals, and that comes out if there's a fine, we add the cost of all the documentation, the pictures, and putting together the file for them. I think that's appropriate. Other than, oh, and it just says code enforcement efforts, we don't have
Yeah,
officers
I think
included.
that paragraph's okay.
Okay. Written complaints.
So I just take out the word, any person may submit to code enforcement, take out officer.
Gotcha. Or submit through the city?
Yes. Just saying, any person may submit to
Yeah.
code enforcement, a
Yes.
signed written complaint alleging a violation.
And we now have a form on the website and a paper form available, so it's easier to submit, contains the information.
And then on the last sentence, if code enforcement finds the complaint to be credible,
Yes, if,
code enforcement may investigate. Just keep taking out the word officer.
That was through B2, we have to change the wording to, in there to the ones we actually have in the definitions.
okay, and then I had a proposal for a C in this section, and this question has come
We
up.
go back
Oh,
to
yeah,
B.
sorry.
The city may undertake investigations. Shouldn't that be
Code enforcement.
code enforcement may
Okay.
undertake?
Sure. All right,
You're saying C? What's C?
C, you don't have C yet, so I think we need a C,
And what is it gonna say?
another item. Well, glad you asked, Larry. I brought some potential language. So now that we have a code enforcement person, we've had questions back. What happened? What are you gonna do? Where are we at? And so I did a little research today, because the question just came up. And Lila said, I don't know what to say, what do you suggest? And so I have some language. I'll read this quickly. I emailed you a copy if you guys like this, or something like this, but I put C. And this is supported by state law. Certain records relating to investigations deemed confidential. Certain records related to compliance action is deemed a public record. So I have C, a 1, 2, 3, if you bear with me. Except as otherwise provided in Oregon revised statutes. And there are some that say, like medical industry, it's confidential except you'll notify the patient. So if a patient complains that something happened, infection, illness, whatever, that's a case where they report back. The industries that are specifically listed are local government for engineering and code enforcement, medical, financial. So most of this is confidential. You're innocent until proven guilty. You're not tried by a court of public perception, and we don't want names floating around because sometimes people are named and we've named the wrong person. So we don't want, because this happens. One neighbor tells another neighbor, tells another neighbor, tells another neighbor, and that's all fine and dandy to take care of each other, but sometimes we finger the wrong person and, reputations are damaged or the wrong person gets cited. And so anyway, so per ORS, any information obtained during the course of the investigation by the city and any record of an investigation is confidential. If no compliance action is taken against a person or property, no civil penalty is imposed pursuant to Chapter 36. The information in the investigative file remains confidential. The complaint or other documents filed by the city to initiate formal compliance action and all documents and information considered by the city as part of a public meeting when determining whether to impose a penalty or is under appeal are public records. So it's confidential. So appeals, that's part of you. When you appeal, you're agreeing you're going to be heard in a public forum. And that at that point, we've already cited them. The city, somebody at the city said you were cited and you were fined, whatever, $500 plus our costs, $750. if you appeal, then all that will be discussed publicly. So you need to be warned either at the time of the appeal or by the ordinance, and then the third is, the provisions of this section do not prohibit the city from communicating and cooperating with another public entity or any other agency that is investigating. And I said the same, it should say similar, right? Because we coordinate with Lane County on septic, we coordinate with the state on water. They've called us about water rights. It's state law and it's a state permit, but if it's a city water right, we're the middleman, you know, so there are things we share with cooperating agencies. So that's my proposed language.
The only reservation I have is that when you have someone that makes a complaint, they would like feedback.
Yes,
If your response is, I'm sorry, that's confidential,
well,
then you have a problem where they think you're just hiding the problem,
that's true,
or you're in cahoots with the problem, or,
and that's false, but that
I know.
that comes up. So my suggestion is, it's the details of the investigation is confidential. They're entitled to feedback. Got your complaint, staff's looking into it. This could take 14 days or something like that, right? But the question on one of these that came back was, well, I sent X emails, what are you gonna do? And, you know, and it's like, well, the nitty gritty details are kind of none of your business right now because it's and one of the neighbors called me and he's like, hey, what's going on? I go, it's a procedural issue. Don't get in the middle of due process, or if there is an appeal, this whole thing goes in the toilet. And he's like, good point, thank you, I understand. And I said, that's just my opinion, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not city staff, but I do this for a living in a neighboring state. So it's something that I have training on and
What we're
feel a
talking
bit
about
passionately
is,
about.
yeah, we're talking about a situation here this evening where
Yeah.
property was excavated
Yes.
and there's a perceived risk to other
Yes.
properties. So let's say that.
That one's a different animal. That permit is now on file and approved by the city, it becomes a public record. So,
I understand. And-
yeah, it's shocking that they don't know what the ultimate looks like because they've called Pam. Though I kind of wonder what she got as well, because we do have people that say, well, I got a building permit, and they just start grading like crazy. It's not
Well,
reflected on the drawing.
I know that I've seen excavators who took great license
Yes,
with
exactly.
what they did.
So in that case, yeah, we would say, yes, there's an approved grading plan, here's the owner, there's the other one that was related to the phone call I was talking about. The house that was built next door, he had commented when it was in review and wanted to know if all those concerns were reflected. And the answer was sort of, you know, it was yes, those comments are on the plans, here's the copy of the plan, he had a copy of the plan, and he said, I don't think they built it exactly per plan, and he is correct. So, you know, that's part of the challenge, right? That was a public record, he had all the approved plans, and so we could discuss that part, but yeah, it's
Well, I like the idea of, you know, nobody wants to be tried in a court of public
Right.
opinion or social media.
right,
And you're right about how things flutter out.
right,
And people ought to be able to have a conversation, like if I made a mistake on my property
Right.
and you bring it to my attention, oh my goodness, okay, I need to fix this. But does it need to be on the front page of the newspaper?
Exactly.
Not really, no.
And when we go further in this, it talks about seek voluntary compliance, if you get it, done, like,
Right.
we're not talking about it anymore, it doesn't go to council, it's like, it was taken care of. And that can be reported back, we can talk about a script for,
I was gonna say, can we just say it's been taken care of, or you've been fined, or whatever?
We appreciate
So-
your concern and it will be addressed and then you can go back, you know.
right, was
But
remedy
So
enclosed?
my question
Yeah.
is, let's say, for example, the code enforcement organization here imposes a fine
Yeah.
or a remedy. Is that something that can be divulged?
Not until it's run its course, so if they say, got it, I paid the fine, I remedied, whatever, then we just say, it was remedied and close the
You
case.
don't release it, it's
Right.
it's appeal.
It's when they appeal and say, I refuse to pay the $2,500 or the $50 or whatever, yeah, then it's public. So, because it's really nobody's business, whether it's $100 or $5,000. Some people want to extract a pound of flesh, and that's not why we're here.
Yeah, so my question is, who has standing to make an appeal? So let's say that.
The person that's
Anybody,
fined.
yeah.
I understand, but that's my point. What about the complainant? Do they have a right to appeal?
No.
And say, I don't think you remedied this. Okay, Okay, I don't
Well,
think you remember.
if you don't think you're remedied, because that needs to be part of our answer, it is remedied and complies with code.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't like it, that's a different problem, because sometimes you're going, this one-to-one slope is allowed
Mhm.
up to 6 feet, and so they fixed the slope with a retaining wall, but they're still 6 feet, but it now complies. Now, is the code perfect? Not always, right? So,
Yeah.
So yeah, you tell them it was remedied, but yeah, how big the fine was, or, because a lot of times that's negotiated, right? They're like, well, there's
Well, I think
extenuating
I think
circumstances.
your proposed language is good,
Okay,
as long as it doesn't come across to people as if we're trying to hide in the shadows.
Right.
You know.
no, we've had some of that conversation, right? We're trying, and if you've met Igor, I mean, he's going out and talking to people. I mean, it's not his approach to go, none of your business. It's like, hey, what's going on here? Can we talk? So I think we're getting there, and I think Geneva is similar. It's not about the money, because we're not here to bankrupt someone. If they say, well, if I had to pay my last $500, do you want me to fix the septic tank, or do you want me to pay the fine? I want them to fix the septic tank. I mean, we're not doing this for the money. Frankly, that's the only way to get people's attention. And so, so yeah, it's typically, and then we talk about this on the next page, you negotiate a settlement, and if they say, I got $250 and 2 friends who want to help, can I fix it? Yes, because that's the goal, is to get things fixed. And so it becomes none of the neighbor's business whether we charge them $750 or whether it was enough to make them, feel your pain. It's to correct the issue. That's the end game. So
in your language there, does it speak to what would be divulged? Like you're saying, you said, well, we'll tell people it's being investigated. We have a remedy.
Yep.
We have but does that language say that we're communicating to the complainant that their complaint is somehow being processed?
Nope. This part is just that during investigation is confidential. So if we need, because this was about the written complaint, not the action. So I only added what I think should be confidential, and then we can talk about that. And it may not belong in the ordinance. It may be just, we talk about it, and she says, understood. I hear you loud and clear, because it's procedural.
You make a good point, because people say, shouldn't everything be public record?
Yeah, and the answer is no.
And that's why we have to have this
Right.
language.
Right.
Okay.
And so if that's good, I emailed exactly what I read to Lila. You'll see it, as a draft, if you guys think that makes sense. And then I think part of this is a discussion, now that we have a code enforcement person dedicated to this, because it used to fall to Pam after all the permits were done and everything. She was also driving around looking at these complaints. So part of it's just procedure for staff to carry out, right? That we don't really have to dictate what time they go to work, or, what color pencil they use on their form, but that we want appropriate feedback to the neighbors and keep them in the loop. And so if everybody's good, that takes us to the top of page 4.
And I think in the event, D should be just said, if code enforcement finds a complaint finds a complaint is not credible, so let's just make it a little simpler, take off officer also.
Yep. So take out which part?
Just if.
If
Oh,
code
yeah.
enforcement finds a complaint
Okay.
is not credible.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I'm awfully sorry. If code enforcement finds a complaint not credible, complainant has the right to appeal that decision? Is that right? Am I
No.
just missing something?
Yeah, it's just some word salad. Because if it's not credible, you wouldn't appeal. If they said you didn't do anything wrong, Rapunzel, you wouldn't say, no, really, I did. I do things wrong every day. I want to appeal to council. Yeah, that whole, something got jumbled in this.
Yeah.
It should be, it finds a complaint creditable.
No, this is the complainant's right to appeal. If we didn't do anything like they think we should have, the complainant, this is for them to write a repeal. But to
Oh,
me,
okay.
it's the complainant, it's not an appeal, maybe they should file another complaint.
No, because it's gonna be a waste of time. Wouldn't it be if it's come before the council and we found that every rule and every T has been crossed, I has been dotted, then
Yeah.
why would we waste more time on a secondary appeal?
Well, I think what
No,
this
this
is written, this is written for the public. If I made a complaint with code enforcement and he just blew me off, what's my recourse?
Or if you didn't think it was fixed the way you wanted it fixed, just like was
Right.
talked about. This is for them to appeal to the council.
And
But
yeah,
then-
that's a simple matter. I mean, it's not a place to launder the entire complaint. It's
No.
just city council and appealing that they didn't find my complaint credible. We look into it, we make a determination that it's either credible or not credible. But we
Right.
don't have to hear the whole complaint.
A second time.
We don't have to hear it. We can discuss the particulars with the city.
Well, we might not even hear it at all, because we only hear appeals. So
Right.
if
Right.
it was not credible, we wouldn't have heard it at all.
Right, but I mean, if enough information was shared with us, we could validate or reverse the determination that.
But we wouldn't hear about it at first, right? Because
Right.
we're not
Right.
apprised
Our
to that,
current
that's a code
process,
What I'm
enforcement.
saying is, let's say I make a complaint
Yeah.
and code enforcement says, sorry, that's not credible. Okay, then I can come to the city council and I'd say, I'd like the city council to accept my appeal that code enforcement's determination that my complaint lacked credibility. So now it's in our hands. So we have to look at the complaint, and if we validate code enforcement's decision, great. If we reverse, if we agree with the complainant, yeah, code enforcement, you missed it here. This is credible. We do want you to investigate it. I think that's what this paragraph says.
Well, I understand. My question is, because we do appeals after the fact of violations, is this process somehow giving us information that we shouldn't have until an appeal? Is that?
Yeah, it kind of sets up an awkward, because you get involved in the front end, and then they say, okay, so based on your,
On the other hand, what
Opinion.
recourse does the public have if code enforcement says it's not credible?
To me, they should have the right to come in
they
and,
run for
and,
office. I don't know. That's a
and,
good
and
question.
say that they don't think that's correct, and I have further information or something, and take it
It
to
really
the
belongs to
city
staff.
administrator. It needs to stay with staff and not come to the city council.
Okay, but that's still gonna leave the public disenfranchised because they elected us to listen to it.
Oh, you can listen, but you gotta be careful, right? There's
They have no way to get to an appeal. You see?
carrying out,
Well,
yes, they do, they can come every
I-
single
appeal-
meeting during citizens' concerns and say
Okay.
they feel dissatisfied.
I understand.
We don't need a formal appeal, because
but if they
Susan's
appeal
right.
to us, then
Right.
we can't be the appeal
We can't be
appellant
the-
either.
I understand the Hobson's choice here.
Yeah.
I'm drawing it out. I'm saying, okay, if I make a complaint and city
Well-
staff says it's not credible,
Well,
my only recourse is to come and stand there for 3 minutes and tell you that I think it's totally wrong.
Well, no, that's what I'm trying to say, is I think there is another recourse. If code enforcement says one thing, they can come back to Lila and say, I have further information, will you please
Maybe
review
they don't
this?
have further information. Maybe they just think she's wrong. That's my point.
But it would be up to that person to bring in the reasoning as to why they feel that
Right.
Yeah.
the code
That's tricky.
Okay,
enforcement.
so they do that in their 3 minutes?
No, they bring
Yeah,
it back
no, we give
up
more
to a
time.
city
Back to
admin.
staff.
All I'm saying is, if you run into a brick wall,
Yeah.
there has to be a point of recourse beyond the brick wall, and we are that recourse. So I disagree with the idea that it would just stop, the buck stops here, not over there.
Well,
No, it's
I
not.
How
What's
does
the
it get
step
to
to
here? How does it get to here?
In this case,
Yeah.
a valid citation that's then appealed to the council, because Susan's right, how does the person who then ultimately potentially gets cited, who do they appeal to?
That's a problem.
Because they can only appeal to
I
us.
understand, so that means one party has recourse and the other does not. In other words,
No.
the person who is found to be in violation, if they are found in violation, they can appeal the violation to us,
Yes.
but the person who's making the complaint has no recourse to this council. If they run into a brick wall in code enforcement, they have no ability to say, wait a minute, your staff is doing this, I think it's wrong, and we need a recourse.
Okay, before we strike or doing it, let's do a little more research. And if we have it, it needs to be reworded, because there's
Right.
there's credible, there's also things outside our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are unhappy, but we're not gonna fix things outside our jurisdiction because it's illegal.
Well, I can tell you that I personally have taken complaints like this myself in another city to the city council where I got relief that I ran into a brick wall with staff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an iron-clad
Right.
brick wall.
Don't wanna hear it, not gonna go
And I
through
had
it.
to go to the city council members to get relief, and I got the relief. And that was the only way to get it done.
Well, I understand that, I'm just saying, I think it's a conflict of us doing an appeal
Well, I think it
here.
is, and there was a conflict there too.
Well-
That was the only way it worked.
Well, I think we need to.
So there's some other
set-
possibilities.
Yeah.
If it is land use or something related, the appeal could go to the planning commission,
There's certainly,
right? And if the planning commission says,
certainly, we're talking about.
yes, we believe that's a violation of this, that, or the other, it goes back to staff. So the appeal still comes to us.
Right.
Because, yeah, you gotta be careful that you don't say, I believe there is a violation, because now you've made your mind up. If they come back with their appeal, it's like, well, you kind of already ruled on this, but of course, you're seeing one side of the story. If the complainant is the only one presenting info, you're not getting a full story. And usually, my experience is, if it's done right, and I know you've had a bad experience, but if you get to that point that this isn't a valid complaint, you need to make sure that they're getting the reason, right? That it's not in our jurisdiction, or it is in our jurisdiction, but this is what the code says, and you're interpreting it your own way, you know?
So another way you could look at this, you could say, let's say I take a complaint to code enforcement, they put up a brick wall.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, I'd like it looked at again, but I don't want it looked at by them, and you guys can't look at it. So we have to find a third party, maybe Northwest, whatever, somebody else, but some third party has to look at it to make sure that there's a complaint or not a complaint. If you have that third party check, then we protect our role as, you know, determining.
I think there's some possibilities there too. One of the things that I do in a neighboring state, if we think that could happen, we take one of the board. In that case, it's an appointed board appointed by the governor. We take one member and say, I want you to review this. And if you go, man, that just really stinks, then it goes back. Or we keep working on it, whatever, you know, staff keeps working on it. And then if there was ever an appeal, you would abstain.
Of course, and that could be one of us.
Exactly.
Or-
That's what I mean. It would be one of us.
One of us would go do the investigation.
No, you meet with them
You meet
and
with
you go through the information and say, there's merit to this. Don't get involved in the
Right.
administrative duty.
That's what I'm.
You just need to be convinced that, yes, the ordinance covers it, there's clear violation, and we have jurisdiction.
And then there's still plenty of us to make a determination.
Yes.
If
If
they.
you have a quorum, one person abstains, and the way we do it, we don't even flag that. You would just sit there and grin, and then go, I'm gonna abstain. Right, so you don't participate in the discussion or anything, but you don't make a big show about it, like, I already reviewed this, I'm gonna go sit over there and frown for a minute, you know, you just don't say anything. Sure.
I
So-
have a proposal on that.
Couple of possibilities, yes.
Back on, for lack of me being able to find it, we said code enforcement, code enforcement, a city admin or other designee.
Yeah.
Put in one of the other designees.
Well, considering the depth of our bench here,
Well, my concern is what happens if we don't have a quorum or more than people that we need to make a decision on it? So then and then you pull another person.
Well, we're missing two tonight, we still have a quorum.
right.
No, I understand that, but
Well, I mean, we can manage, right? Worst case, that would just go to the next meeting.
it couldn't be back within to a different person of the code enforcement.
Well, I was thinking about that. It could be me because I don't vote, or I vote if there's a tie. So if we're short a member, you know, if it came down to, like tonight, if it came down to, guess what, he's abstaining, and it's 1-1, then I get to vote. And so I think we have a method to remedy that. The other is, if we're doing this right, it should almost never come up.
You're right, and
Right.
what I like is the optics. I like the optics.
That they have the opportunity.
They have the opportunity, so if it happened, and I don't think it will ever happen,
Right.
but it happened to me, at least 3 times
And that's a shame.
in this county.
Because if the staff's doing their job.
Yeah.
They would have given you solid reasons why. They would have had the discussion and done the investigation, and they wouldn't have shared what they said, but they would have said, look, we looked at all the facts,
Right.
and in either we don't have jurisdiction, or you were forgetting 3 other things, or we learned 3 other things that you couldn't know from
Right.
where you sit.
So,
But you would get some feedback.
yeah, so in my particular situation, the county commissioner got involved on my
Yeah.
behalf, a mayor got involved on my behalf, city council got involved, it never got to the appeal. Their intervention was enough to say, wait a second, what the heck is staff doing here?
Sure.
And that fixed the problem. So I like the optics better than the fact that it's ever gonna happen. If we just said, okay, the optics are, if you don't agree with code enforcement, then you can make, do we wanna use the word appeal? You can ask for reconsideration of the complaint.
And maybe change the word.
Not use the word appeal.
Right, because the statute I work under,
Yeah,
the board has the final word and there is no appeal.
right.
But that's if it made it to here. Most stuff happens at the investigator, at the staff level.
Sure.
You know, it's like, so you have valid complaints, like everybody's got something to complain about, right? So a lot of times you have, I understand why you're upset,
Mhm.
but we don't have any jurisdiction. This is a state thing, or this is a federal thing, or whatever it is. And, so it means it's not a valid complaint from a perspective of the city couldn't handle it. It doesn't mean you don't have a good reason to complain, you know what I mean? It's the technical use of the term, so,
Well, I think
but yeah,
Lila's heard all this, she can craft something with the language you suggested there, and
well, and we can do a little research because, like, where did that come from? Because in a lot of cases, like, there are things that go to planning commission and they say not appealable, like, that's the final. And there are things that you automatically can appeal to council, so it depends on the action and what like, what is the state statute that gives us the authority say, you know? Because we don't want to be in a position, there are things land use wise that you can go to LUBA, right, Land Use Appeals Board. And then it doesn't come to us, and it's even worse because we're completely out of the loop, and then they send you back a finding and say, carry this out. So let's do a little research just to make sure, but yeah, you're right. When you feel like you hit a brick wall, it's frustrating. I hope you never hit a brick wall, but you're right, if you do, or you feel like you did, what do you do? And it is tricky because a lot of people will say, what exactly did you find out? What exactly did you do? And is that big enough fine? And they still feel cheated. That part's none of their business if you don't carry out the code.
sure.
Or the very thing they don't like, we have no jurisdiction over. That one's always good.
Well, the brick wall cost me $200,000
Oh,
in delays and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do I feel it? I feel it.
yeah. Okay. All right. And while we're talking about appeals, because it comes up in 2 spots here and then appealing a citation or a fine. And it's somewhere else, it's not in here. The city, is it $400? The city charges, you have to submit $400 to appeal. And I'm all about cost recovery, but you're innocent until proven guilty. So if you want to appeal, I'm with Larry, if you want to appeal to council, you need to be able to appeal to your elected officials. And it shouldn't cost $400. Maybe we think about that, right? Because I think it should be free to come and address us. And then, especially for an appeal of what we think is a valid citation, instead of charging $400 to have the appeal, tell them it's similar to the court. If you lose, you're going to pay the court costs, right? So when we had a previous appeal, we all talked about the fine and the staff's time up to that point. All the staff's time for the appeal was free, basically. And we're supposed to tell them, and we did in the last appeal, if you want your $400 back, you have to request that, either at that appeal or in writing, and if you prevail, you get your $400 back. I would rather say anybody can appeal in writing, and then, but if you lose the second time, that staff time could go up, because we had to publish things, and, you know, we spent almost 2 hours in a meeting that we had to pay back then, a cameraman to record and publish. It cost the city hundreds of dollars to go through the appeal. And we didn't agree with them, you know, we we adjusted the fine, but we didn't eliminate the citation. So that's a little more complicated when we get to it, and the price itself is not in here, it's in a fee schedule somewhere, but I feel strongly you shouldn't have to pay $400 in a small town to address the council. Right? I mean, your 3 minutes is free, and we'll indulge you if it's a complicated issue, but,
So we're taking out section B?
well, we'll do a little research. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what that should say. And,
I mean, in the context of somebody's appeal, you know, if it's a violation like on a second offense or something like that, wouldn't you think, you know, a bond or a deposit? Because some of these folks have not paid us who we have fined. Of course, we have the power to lien.
exactly. So at this point, and when all this was drafted, we didn't have a collection firm. We do. They operate under state law. So a lot of, in the future, next couple of pages, there's a bunch of stuff we can strike because it's not going to be liened at the interest rate like road improvements or anything. It's per state law. We have a company that does it, and they'll say, we send a notice, we send a reminder, and then we record a lien.
Perfect.
And then if they sell or refinance, we all get paid back. And so
I like the idea of not having that up front. That's kind of ridiculous.
it is. I was shocked when it was like, you got to write a $400 check to submit your appeal to council. I'm like, wow, that's a big city price right there. So anyway, okay, let's go on to 36.070. So this is more or less the order of operations, the just code enforcement. Code enforcement, not officer, may take.
How about, can we change it in the event of finding a code violation, strike of the code? The code, so it would say, in the event of finding a code violation, code enforcement
Yeah.
may take the following.
Put code up
actions.
front. Just code violation of the code, right, whatever it would be. Code enforcement may take the following. So we start with voluntary abatement. We won't abate the violation if it's immediate threat to public health, because our attorney said we're not gonna do B. C is a yes,
But
that's part of the process,
fire department or anybody else could abate it if they
Yes.
want, but we won't.
correct.
So if that's,
Actually,
again, that's where we end, our dot stops and they take over.
Yeah, because we call them, let them know, and they take over.
And they take over, so we shouldn't have anything there.
right, because they would take over anyway, they don't
Right.
need city code, or it would have to say, those authorized to, but yeah, it's extra words, I mean.
Well, we already have it covered in the other section.
Yeah, police and
It
fire
already
are gonna
says that
say,
we're
what does
gonna
the
call
code
them.
enforcement chapter say? Yeah,
Yeah, right.
man brandishing a weapon, and it's like, is that covered by code enforcement? What do you want me to do about it? You know, they're.
If that's
we got
covered by
that
code
set off.
enforcement individual, we have issues.
So, B, just strike B.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so C is one of the possibilities, or one of the steps. I think it's out of order, because normally you would issue a notice,
Mm-hmm.
A violation before. you
potentially
do
issue a
cause.
cease and desist, and then you would impose administrative costs,
And F is on
and
them.
F is gone. And the administrative costs.
C and G
come-
are about the same thing.
Well, fine is like, it's $500 a day for X, plus code enforcement's time. So it's $500 a day, and then when it's all over, you would say, we spent,
So could we
2 hours.
combine G and C?
Yeah.
I would just move C all the way to after G.
So what's the difference in administrative cost against the person found to be responsible for the violation? And so, how is
Administrative
that cost
cost
determined?
is on top of this chapter says violations right now, the violation is up to $500 per occurrence per day. Staff cost is an additional for the cost of measuring it, monitoring it, taking pictures of it, documenting, whatever.
The fine is supposed to be incentive not to do this again.
And the other is
And the other
cost
is
recovery for the
cost
staff.
recovery.
Yes.
So my statement is, in G, can we put fine and administrative costs
Yes, they could be together,
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's what I was just
eliminate
saying.
together?
C, put all those words, yes, there you go, that's even better. Put it down there. Both go under whatever letter it is now, E.
Because we're not gonna impose administrative costs until we find them.
Exactly. And then H, stipulated agreement and/or civil proceedings. So strike B, strike F, move C down with G, and then re-letter them, right? That make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then next section, notice of violation. If, strike,
Strike the officer after all code enforcement.
serve notice.
Should it be person in charge? Not property owner and
Well,
person responsible?
No.
It's just person responsible.
Person responsible, that's what I meant, I'm sorry.
Okay, and the first notice of violation is that person responsible. When we get to later steps, it's the legal owner if that's a different person, right? Because your property could be lien, we need to make sure the property owner's notified. So the last sentence says, if the property owner is unknown or absent, has no representative, so that needs to be reworked. It would be, if the person responsible is unknown, then the legal owner should get the mailing. Delilah, is there a case in Lane County where you could have a piece of property that is owned by, not like government owned or something, but a piece of real property and Lane County would not have a mailing address? They have to, right?
For taxes,
Right.
they usually do, yes.
Usually or always? I mean,
Well,
they have to have,
yes.
it's either the physical address of the property or an address, there's an agent in fact, or whatever, an owner's agent. But you can't have a piece of property that doesn't have an address associated. We either mail it to the property, if there's any improvements.
Doesn't mean that the property owner actually gets it though.
That's a different problem, but you always have a mailing address and you know the physical location, so
Yes,
you go there, if there's a mailbox, it goes to that mailbox, and if there's a property owner that's listed as a different, then we mail to that one,
yes.
because that's the legal address on file. So there shouldn't be a case where it can't be served, right? I mean, it's gonna be mailed to the physical location or that address they list as their legal owner, right? The tax address.
There has been instances where there is actually no mail, like nobody getting the mail, like.
That's
so-
different, right? Nobody's,
Yes,
right, it's like absentee owner, somebody died and nobody's picking up the mail. And that's a case where it's like, it's usually a derelict building, right? That's why nobody responds, the owner died.
There's a property in Florence where the person lives in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it's part of the region.
There's no certified mail coming back from Hong Kong, and nothing that was ever mailed to him ever brought anything to his attention.
Really?
Which is why you just have to post it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a dead letter office.
Yeah, I've had those, we had to get a signature for somebody like that, and it's like, good gravy, and they say, it needs to be notarized, and like, they don't call it a notary
In China.
in Israel or where, Istanbul, the owner in another country, so. I think in Hawaii, they use a raised stamp. And so we mail them documents, and the recorder's office says, I can't take a picture of it. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Just rub it with a black crayon, because that satisfies the law, whether that works. Right? Okay, we ready to go on to that next? The notice of violation will contain, and Geneva had a comment in her comments about that, making sure we get the address, and when we get to the days, this is where we get to days, and we brought this up in the nuisance. We had 10 days, we all agreed that was too soon, 30 days is the minimum for any sort of notice, because we couldn't be assured they were receiving it quickly and had time to act.
So there's another sentence here that needs to be taken out, number 2. The city will abate or correct the violation.
We will not.
Gotcha, after the comment.
So
Or
that 10 days is going to 30?
I think that's a good idea because frankly, our mail now goes from here to Portland, to Eugene, to Springfield, to Portland, and back.
Yeah.
It takes 7 days to get something across town.
That's if you get it to.
And if the,
Bad things take over a month, you know,
Oh, yeah,
so.
they get, it's terrible.
Yes.
and it's even better if you go, I mean, they're doing, it's every state's like this, right? Especially the ones with not huge populations. If they happen to live in Utah, right next door, in southern Utah, it goes to Salt Lake. You know, it does the same, it bounces around, even though, you know, Las Vegas is closer, it doesn't go to the nearest sorting center. It's always state by state, so.
I think it's important to note that it's not required for us to get a return receipt. We send it with a return receipt requested.
Yeah.
It's not required under Oregon law,
Right.
because people can simply refuse to get their certified mail. They know it's not good news, they're
Right.
not gonna pick it up. And they can say later, well, I never got notice.
And
It doesn't matter, we only had to mail it. We didn't have to guarantee that you.
actually, that's a good point. We probably should state that somewhere because we can do an affidavit of mailing because we have a city recorder / city clerk / city administrator / city mailing technician. So if you type a letter and you send it first class in a plain envelope, because you're right, they dodge things with logos. You know, Linda mails the letter, you witness her mail the letter, you write an affidavit, or vice versa, and that's just as good. It's first class mail, it's, the law deems it reliable. That's wink, wink. I mean, it's not always 3 days, but, yeah, when in doubt, you do both, because the first class one, you just say, it didn't bounce back, that means they got it, that's all we have to do, and you can do an affidavit mailing that we know we mailed it on this date.
Well, in a sense, we do that because we have a mail log. So any piece of mail that we receive or goes out is included in that mail log. So,
Plus, if you mail something out, certified mail, it'll come back to you eventually. It might be 5 weeks, but it'll come back to you. And the post office will often write, never picked it up.
Right, no contact.
No contact, whatever, but you have your proof of mailing with
Yes.
postmark on it.
That's our job, right, is to attempt,
and
try to get it
we
done.
have all those, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a common dodge by people saying,
Oh, yeah.
I never got notice.
so on the first, on 4, we should say by certified mail, return receipt requested, or personal service, or first class mail with affidavit of mailing. Because quite often you'll do two, right? You'll do you'll do a follow-up, because first class mail is so much cheaper if you do it a second time. Do an affidavit. Okay.
Can we start from like for a statement?
Yeah, he went back to page 4.
Yeah, I
Oh,
went
I'm
back a
like,
page to
whoa,
make
wait
sure.
a
He didn't
second,
jump
I'm
to 4,
lost.
he went
Yeah,
back.
when we started talking about the notice, yeah, so
Okay.
go ahead. No, we're back to you.
No, we're on, you said on page 4, you're adding.
The third line on, under A, it has certified mail return receipt requested or by personal service, and he's just
And
adding.
we'll say, or first class mail with affidavit of mailing. We'll insert that in there.
Oh, okay.
So staff will have 3 methods. Because quite often, we'll know it's an out-of-town address, it'll be hand-delivered to the site if we know there's a site. To avoid those issues with, I never got it mail, I didn't know, it goes to my attorney and he never tells me nothing. There's a lot of good stories out there in the big cities. Okay, now back to you, Melissa, we were on page 5.
No, that was where I was at, so
Okay.
I'm.
She thought you skipped the
Oh, no.
I thought you were like
Sorry.
skip, I was like, wait
I
a
got
second.
that, I was on the wrong 4, you're right.
Thank you.
So we were in the middle of 2, when we were talking about that notice of violation. So does that whole second sentence stay? The order for corrective action shall include a statement that the violation is not appealed or corrected within 30 days of date of service of the notice of violation. We're not gonna abate.
Correct.
So it's an incomplete sentence now. It says, oh, if it's not appealed or corrected within 30 days of violation, yeah, it's just period, there you go.
Just period.
We don't need the second phrase.
We don't need the
yes.
second.
And then the last sentence, order for corrective action shall include statement of failure to correct or abate. Code violation may result in the imposition of fine, that's good. And then 3,
Are we taking out or abate?
yes, that whole after violation, comma, the city will abate or correct, take that whole rest of that sentence out.
I meant in the last section where it says to correct or abate.
That's for them.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, we're
That's
fine
for
on
the
the rest of
homeowner.
that.
Yeah, so if they correct or abate, that would be the technical term, but yeah, the city's not abating.
Okay,
It would be,
I gotcha.
And then 3, any comment on 3? Okay,
Can we go back
Yes,
to
no
one?
officer.
Take up
Yeah.
officer,
go ahead.
Well, that's, yeah.
that's it.
So the findings of fact of corresponding conclusions of law. I don't have any law as my, experience. Can we just basically just say, just describe the code violation and the corresponding sections of our code
Sure.
that it's violating and the rules
Well-
that have been violated?
Yeah, but when you describe it, you're describing what the ordinance or the code says,
Right.
and then that
I guess
there's
my,
evidence that that was violated, is usually all you need to say, right? You have a picture.
right,
This says, shall not do anything in the riparian habitat, here's a picture of said activity. It would, there is evidence that it was violated, so
I
that
see
is
where
your
she's coming from.
conclusion of law, right, is to use the
Right.
word like evidence.
well, and because the examples of what we have and that we have been using, is a big, basically says Dune City versus this person.
Right.
It
Oh,
looks
you're
like
right.
a,
It looks like a lawsuit.
yes.
You're right.
So I'm wondering if
You're
we
right, it should be
could
a letter, yes.
make that easier.
Yes, absolutely, that is not a requirement.
Okay,
In fact, the first time I saw one, I was shocked too, because we got a phone call, are we suing somebody right now? What are you talking about? No, we're not suing anybody. And yeah, it looks like it came from district court. And so, yeah, no, it'd be better on a piece of letterhead that says, received a complaint on this date about this code, and A, B, and C appear to have been violated, and here's the
Right.
evidence.
So we need to take out findings of fact.
No, because that's what an investigation is, right? That we review the allegation, here's what the code says, here's
Just
what I
take out
found.
order and put the letter for corrective action.
Yeah, something like that.
Instead of an order, it's not a court order, it's just a
No,
letter.
it's not, and it wasn't approved by council, so it wasn't a order at all, really. It was,
It's a letter.
okay,
You can put on letterhead.
gotcha. All right, a letter for corrective action. Yeah. That's important.
In the beginning of the second sentence, just strike order and put letter.
Right, number 2, yeah, okay.
Then Lila can do it nicer.
Okay, we're down to number 4,
Yes, sir.
and this is,
Again,
what did we decide, it's responsible party,
Responsible
Person.
party,
responsible person?
person responsible, sorry. It
yeah,
is
it's
written
person
correctly.
responsible.
Person responsible, okay, and then,
But we don't put property owner.
or property owner,
No, we have to, yeah, because it.
yeah, if they're not the same.
Mhm.
May appeal, deliver written request for review to city within 30 days. Yeah, we gotta give them 30.
Because it's the date of issuance and you don't know when they're gonna get it. See, what
Yeah,
if you get it on the 11th day and you're vigilant about picking up your mail?
no, 30, yeah, we can't presume we can turn it. City Hall's only open 4 days a week, so if you make it too short, it starts turning into, is it business days, because we're closed 3 days a week. So let's make that 30. If the person responsible fails to timely file a written request for review, then code enforcement's findings will be final. So B is legally true, but every time this comes up, it's inflammatory. Right?
Why?
People argue, well, if you got if it went to the wrong, whatever. But I think we're generally going, if it's a legal owner and the property, it's going to both. I mean, we're not trying to dodge anybody. But it always comes up, and we're just following the law, right? We look up the address that's on file. If we know it's a different person, we try to get them, get in touch with them too, but you can't simply say, yeah, well, you put my middle initial wrong, and that's not me, and it doesn't stick. I mean, it's about some sort of violation that is, at this point, obvious, right? You're able to, you have a complaint, whether from city staff or the public, you have an investigation, you have facts on your side.
I mean, peace.
Okay, all right, be prepared if we get a comment, because it happened a couple of times in the past. I think it's fine too. And it's key. Timely file written request, matter placed on agenda. So the number 4 plus, that's odd, it's 4, there's no A, but there's a B and a C.
Yeah, there should be an A in there.
Or there's 1 part of A. No, 1 is part of A. Okay, so A is determine it exists. B is if there's an error, it doesn't void, and C is the timely. So we gave them, this was an earlier problem. We said it's 10 days to appeal, and it has to be on the next city council meeting. And we used to meet once a month, but now that we meet twice a month, that could be really soon. So I think it should say, it will be scheduled for a future council meeting, and it will be either mutually agreed upon or C. That appeal date, right? If you submit the appeal, it says you're on the next city council meeting, and that's not always convenient.
Well, our
For the
work
appeal or
sessions
for us.
aren't considered.
What's that?
Our first meeting of the month, are we really declaring that a city council meeting? That's a work session.
But
No, we
any matter
changed it
can
to
be
city
appealed,
council.
right, because it's a scheduled meeting. And it may not be convenient for them, and it may not be convenient for us or the staff. We want to make sure we're prepared. If we get that appeal, depending on the day of the week, and it says next council meeting, that could be, Lila's put an agenda out 1 week in advance. So if you got it last Tuesday, you'd be like, we have to hear this next Wednesday.
Yeah, I think we ought to change that to the next.
Mutually agreed upon agenda or something.
Mutually agreed
Well,
upon.
no, because we.
No, because that opens up if they want to delay it.
That's not mutually agreed on. If they say, give me 2 years, we won't agree to
I
that.
think it should be something like the next.
30 days?
The next, there's a word I'm looking for, it's the next opportunity at a council meeting or something like that, because you're right, you can't do it 3 days out.
No.
But you could do it 18 days out or something like that,
Well,
the next 2 weeks. but-
And that's why I bring it up, because right now it says next meeting,
Yeah, that's
and the
not-
last time it
that's
came
not
up,
right.
we didn't make the next meeting. And then he said, I can't come, I thought it was gonna be November, we said, okay, November's fine, and then it was, I can't come in November, it went to December and January, and so, then we got the runner. And,
Yeah, but you can never agree to the
How about
possibility.
if we just said within the next 2 council meetings?
for 30 days, which
I
is
say
typically
30
2 more
days.
meetings.
That's good, 30 days is fine.
So let's give staff,
30 days.
because then they have the opportunity to decide which one it lands on, and then they'll be prepared.
Correct.
Because staff is the one that's got
They
the
have to put our packets together with all the information.
right, and be prepared to present their part of it when there's an appeal, number 1. Number 2, I would put another comment in there, or one more sentence, because often you're limited to, if you have an appeal, you're requesting to come to us, and this happened, right, with our previous appeal. We gave them a date, and they wanted to reschedule. And it was rescheduled 3 times. And typical appeal is you can reschedule once, because you can't kick this down the road for a year by asking for another month, or, something came up. So you usually get 1, we give you that 30-day window, we agree on a date.
And when we schedule.
If you say, I'm scheduled for a heart transplant that day, can we meet 2 weeks later? We say, yeah, that seems like a pretty good excuse, okay, we'll go 2 weeks after, but yeah, otherwise it's just keep kicking the can down the road. And
Sounds good.
okay, so put something in like, and 1, you can reschedule once or something like that. And we'll leave it to staff to get scheduled, but yeah, the intent was this can't go on forever. Especially if you have like in your case, Larry, to your point, the complainant, now it's public, right? They're prepared to come.
Right.
Then they go, they kicked it 2 weeks, and then they come, and then they kick it 2 weeks, they go, I give up, and then they show up and there's nobody here.
Right.
Kind of wear them down, so. All right, can you make sense of all that? All right.
Okay, the other one, I think, is, as we found with the other one, you can't always abate things within 5 days.
Right.
Because you can't find a contractor.
No, it's
So we need another time frame.
30 days. And like last time, 30 days would be sufficient time to put together your package to say, I hired somebody, they don't show up until the 6th of next month, but I've done everything I can do.
It gives you time
Versus,
to make phone calls,
I didn't have time to call
find
somebody.
somebody,
Yes. No, I
have them come out, do
I-
bids.
agree.
The only question I had was in the first sentence, it says, upon receipt of a timely filed written request for review. Shouldn't that be upon receipt of a timely filed written request
Or appeal.
or appeal?
Yes, I agree.
Because review is something less than an appeal.
Right. Yeah, because in 4 it says you may appeal. We'll say they have 30 days to abate.
Well,
From the
back
decision.
in 4, it may appeal the order, it should say letter, correct me if I'm wrong. Because we changed it
Yeah,
up
order
here.
should be letter.
Right. Or action, may appeal. Is-
May appeal the letter for
Okay.
corrective action. Because we're not ordering.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then pure gee whiz information, I talked to our attorney after the last appeal because there was a lot of discussion about we're gonna go to court because the appealer called me directly and said, well, you're the mayor, you can do whatever you want to do, and I want you to do the right thing or I'm going to sue you guys. And I was like, man. So the council acted, and I can't just do whatever I want. I'm chair of the meeting. And he said, no, you're the mayor, do whatever you want to do. Well, I called Ross and I said, is there a choice? You know, from a city perspective, is there any other, and he said, if he wanted to sue you, what did he tell us? He had 30 days or 60 days to file in district court.
I think 60.
From the date of our meeting, because we ruled on it at that meeting. And I said, well, he's been saying that for 9 months now, and Ross giggled, which is unusual for an attorney, he's like, I don't think that will get you anywhere. It's pretty clear in the law, so, and that's not something we are worried about, it says it's unappealable, but if you think it's a legal action, we did something illegal, you appeal to the court, but you've got to move quickly.
But a timely,
Yes.
per court.
Okay, and then the next one, A, the abatement, I
Don't
struck
do
the
that.
whole thing, yeah.
Well, I think B should be struck too.
You're right, we're not gonna keep a record of cost of the abatement,
Because we aren't abating.
so probably the whole .090 goes away. It's abatement and assessment of cost,
Right. I don't think we should have any of that in there.
okay?
Good, so
Well,
that's
that
a lot of
simplifies
my
a lot.
questions that I had that
There you go.
section.
Me too, I had all
I was
kinds
on who's gonna determine the cost and who's gonna do
I'm a little
this.
confused. It says that the violation has not been abated or corrected by the
Right.
property owner or person responsible. Okay, so
But it's about us abating.
we're not gonna abate anything. but
No.
My point is, won't we still have some administrative costs dealing with the intractable person?
Yes,
Okay, wouldn't we wanna collect that later?
yes, but I think it's all in 095.
Okay,
It's a fine assessment and lien.
that's fine.
Yeah, we get back to, because I was saying,
I
concern.
got you.
We got staff costs, and if there's a collection agent,
Right.
there by law, they can mark it up to cover their costs.
That's fine. Yeah, you're
Yes.
right. We don't need that section at all.
Okay. Okay, then we go on to fine assessment and liens. Where no other penalty set forth, and we can talk about that, the fine set, right? Because we can have fines listed in here, or past practice has been we have a fee schedule elsewhere by resolution.
I think they need a fee schedule.
I do too, and we talked about it, we brought it up before, and that example in front of you was discussed, and we never approved a lot of that. So I think the only thing that we did was a known violator of short-term rental ordinance should be fined $1,000 because that's the same price as an application, and there should be no incentive to not go through the process. That was in our discussion, but all the rest of our,
But does the
This concept of-
short-term rentals?
no, because it's a fee schedule, we can put anything in there we
Then
want.
we'll need to change it.
We can
because it's a
cross
short-term
this
rental.
out.
That was an
It could be
example
City of Dune City fee
fee
schedule.
schedule,
Yeah.
because
This
he's
is
got
just an example.
other, right, and then we talk about minor and major, and so you could have these things, and this is huge for staff, because we have a lot of conversation around this. Trying to be consistent, and when is it, and to the point of the complaint, when is it a $100 fine, and when is it a $500 fine?
Mhm.
And so if we said that's considered a minor, but if it's repeat, you know, minor's $100, but a repeat's $250. A third time's $500. A major is $500 and, or whatever, right? And so, because staff
Well, we
is
did a
like,
multiplier.
you know, staff is like, who's on first? You want this one to be a $300 issue or a $500 issue, and who makes that call? So it puts them in a tough spot.
And it's not consistent.
No,
because it
trying to be
depends on-
consistent.
So we're gonna pass something where we approve this?
Yes, that's the goal. We got partway through it and, you know, life got in the way, so we never finalized that. So when we get to 095, right now it says 500, it's a placeholder because that's what it says, but yeah, we'll revisit the fee schedule as well. So if anything, it could say, where no other penalty is set forth, that will say something like, per the penalty will be set forth in the fee schedule.
For the fee schedule.
Okay. Because they won't all be up to $500. They can be whatever you think is appropriate. They can be $100, $50, or $500, or whatever. And then B, I think, is appropriate if it exists in more than one place, pick one. You don't get charged for the same offense twice for the same thing, if there's only a single mileage. I don't even know what C is supposed to mean. Whenever the doing of an act or omission,
That's ridiculous.
to do or act,
So anybody can come and say, I didn't know.
this reminds me of the last
And, yeah,
election on TV where they were all saying stuff, and I was like, what is that supposed to mean?
So we're taking out C.
I think you can take out C since none of us are attorneys and we're not sure what we're supposed to do with that.
Be nice to have their salary.
I think on D, we can take out, if you change it to no provisions of the city code designating duties of code enforcement and shall, take out
Right.
officer or designated code
Right.
enforcement officers.
It's just code enforcement shall be construed. Well, but keep reading. Shall be construed as to make such officer or employee liable for any fine or penalty provided for a failure to perform such of a duty unless the intent of the city council is to impose such a fine or penalty on such officer or employee. When would we fine our own
I
code
was gonna
enforcement
say,
person
we
for
wouldn't-
carrying out or not carrying out?
I would
It-
take D
It's,
out.
like-
it's,
Holy crap, does he have any idea what he's got himself into?
well, I think it's good to keep it until the employee is not liable for any fine or penalty.
But that whole thing
No,
is
the whole
about
thing
the
needs to
employee
go.
being,
But take the rest of it out. I'm saying all it should say is the code enforcement officer is not liable for any of the fines or something.
We even need to
something
say
that's
We don't even need to say.
why do we even need to say that?
in case a resident says something, I don't know. It's
We're not
No,
gonna say that.
rather be silent. Who-
just cover I'm trying
No.
to cover the code
You're
enforcement
good.
officer.
No, because code enforcement is all these people. We're not gonna charge them $500.
No, I'm not trying to charge anybody.
But we don't need to say we wouldn't do something that we don't authorize. I mean, it's not in here. Otherwise, it's not even in here. There
I
is
think
no
you're
choice.
misunderstanding, fine, we'll take it out, but you're
Okay.
misunderstanding what I said.
Probably. I can't figure out why it's even there.
Because I read it totally different.
Okay,
I read it as covering the code enforcement, not
okay,
us doing something against them. I'm trying to cover employees.
all right.
So are we all the way down at E3?
No.
Well, E,
All right.
we will state the amount, how it's assessed, and it should be, and may become a lien. Because we're gonna turn it over to collections, now that we have a collection agency, they follow state law, not all fines.
Become me.
That sometimes it's just not worth it, right? They look at them and go, you know what, if we get paid, we get paid, and if we don't, because the lien's expensive to record and all that too, so it's a may.
And then number 2, can we change the 30 to 90, because typically I don't send it to collections.
Right.
Because I need to give
And they won't
them,
even act,
I need
right?
to give them a
They
notice
say,
saying,
we send a
hey,
notice, then we send a reminder, then we run, it's run its course, then we give it to them, so.
yes.
And then 3, isn't it, 30 days?
Yes.
Yes, we'll make that 30.
And then F, I would think we'd go back, take the word review out, and appeal.
Yeah, F. And F is the appeal to, not the next, but a regularly scheduled city council meeting. It's the same discussion we just had, it wouldn't be next
Within-
meeting, no matter
within
what,
30
it'd be
days.
30 days, and then, okay. So, yeah, just make those two consistent.
Then G, I guess it would be may be entered into the docket of city liens and may constitute a lien on the property.
Well, I have a problem with that G altogether, is because that's where we ran into problems before, that the city recorder made arrangements with somebody after we fined them, and so we didn't get our money for a year.
Right.
So So I don't think it's, they can make a resident can come make arrangements with this recorder without city council being involved, because city council fined them.
Gotcha, because this is
I
at
agree with
the last step after you've appealed,
Yeah,
you've had notice,
So it's me coming and saying, hey, I can't pay this, can I pay $5 a month for the next
how
right?
about
10
if we
years?
start with the word if?
And,
Just take everything out in the first sentence.
and that
Say,
step,
if the penalty
Susan,
exists.
would be appropriate way back in the beginning where it said, you know, we changed the order, but seek compliance, impose a cost, enter a stipulated agreement. If that was worked out, then that could be presented to us, right? We made a deal, they're gonna pay $100 a month for 6 months. Yeah, you don't
But not
appeal
after
to
the
staff after you've appealed to the
Correct.
council and they said, there's your
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
Right.
So
No, I agree.
if you just start with the word if, the penalties
Because I have a problem, when I just started that, I went,
Gotcha. So, right, you don't make prior arrangements with city recorder.
So when we say will be entered into the docket of city liens,
Well, let's back up 30 days. Didn't we just say that that is not enough?
Well, this is now, after all the 30-day and the notice, and you went to council and you appealed, and we had the discussion,
you have 30 days.
then you have
to pay
30
that.
days.
but what is the city's docket of, what's the docket of city liens? Where is that?
I don't know.
I don't even know this.
County,
What?
that's with the county.
So really, city records a lien.
Right, I would
With
take
Lane
out
County.
the docket of city liens.
Yeah.
And just put, will constitute a lien on the property.
There you
where
go.
the violation took place. 'Cause I don't know that we have a docket.
No.
So the amount owed,
Would be entered,
Will constitute a lien.
Oh, right, take that whole middle, the docket of city liens, go right to will.
Constitute.
Yeah.
shorter the better.
Yeah. On the property where violation occurs, lien will be recorded with Lane County.
Okay.
And then I struck H.
I was gonna say H, we don't need.
Right, no, because it was how interest rates are established and all that, and that's now for the collection agency. They say we follow state law, you know, I mean, at that point, we've turned it over, they'll describe what the terms are, if there's terms.
I like it, let's do the.
So H-I-J. H and I strike for sure, J, I put a question mark.